think the best thing I ever did was say this dream out loud to the people who care about me the most. And when you're stuck, you raise your hand.
Having someone that can be there with you to navigate that without any sort of judgment.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Whitney. This is the Use Your Fear podcast.
It was every Wednesday at noon. And I remember it going off for the first time, and I'm like, what is that? Oh my God, there's a tornado. There's some clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
It's daytime. Like, what is happening? And then I realized it was just the test.
Testing.
Mm-hmm.
Testing.
We should be going now.
Okay, good. This is the Use Your Fear podcast.
Dun, dun, dun. We are back. We are here. Yeah. So, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what's your high, low, in Buffalo?
High, low, and Buffalo. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, we do this every episode in the beginning where we say what our high, low, and then what is unexpected. My high is spending a ton of time with my nieces. I got to go out to Arizona for a little bit, help babysit. But they were so cute. They wore my shoes. They put my headbands on. So cute. I helped one of them potty train. It was great. Learned a lot. I learned on the third day, I was like, I'm not going to let a 2-year-old beat me. They'll find a way. The third day, I figured it out. So that was my high. My low is probably getting sick this week. But then surprisingly, I rallied. And I'm
sure did.
I got the antibiotics. I got the steroid shot.
Yeah.
I almost canceled on you.
She was not doing well yesterday.
Yeah.
I left work early to come and make her go to the doctor because I was worried that she wouldn't.
You're like a good big sister.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm the aggressor.
Get your shit together, Michelle. I know. That's why she's here.
And what about your Buffalo?
Buffalo is... I had it in the shower. I was thinking about that because I always get stumped on this for no reason. Like, I know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
And I plan it in my head, and then I think I compartmentalize it, and then
No, it's just ADHD.
Okay, that's...
Yeah. We just forget.
Unexpected.
I mean, it's been a little while since we've recorded.
It has. I'll just say unexpected is I was able to rally. You didn't think you were going to make it, and you made it.
She didn't.
You surprised yourself. I did. I thought even when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, I'm still not feeling it. And then I took a nap on the couch for an hour, and I was like,
she sure did.
I feel great. I'm like, I'm ready to do this.
I just vegetable'd out with you yesterday.
Which is so nice.
Yeah. I would say...
High, low, Buffalo.
Yep. My high is... Actually, I'm going to say my high is the fact that I am officially out of the DM role.
Woo-hoo.
And now I'm a GM at my new venue. And I'm very excited about not having all of the extras that come with overseeing multiple venues, even though I love my team and we're all still going to be part of a team. But I don't have to, it's like being an aunt. Now I'm the aunt of them.
Yes.
I can say, oh, this is what you do, and then I can push them away.
Yes.
So
my favorite part.
I just thought of that. That's a
That's a
really
good
good
one.
analogy. Yeah. I am the aunt now. Yes. My low is that, no, I'll say it's my low, is that this morning I almost lost all of our episode 2 footage.
I saw the blood drain from your face.
Yes. Fortunately, we'll go straight into the Buffalo. I found it! But that was kind of a low Buffalo mixed in together, is that I thought that I lost all the footage and
Get your shit together.
No, get my shit together. I would say my other Buffalo is my really cute rock that I just
Yes.
I love it so much.
Sarah does rocks.
She does. What does yours say?
Mine says, there are things in you that the world needs.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah. Mine has a really cute snail on it, and it says, good things take time. And that is very true and so me, and I love it so much. Thank you.
And you don't you drop these off like?
Yeah.
Just put them in random places.
Yeah, I'll drop them off around the neighborhood, or I'll give them, like, if I'm going through a drive-thru or something, I'll give them to, like, a drive-thru worker, or I'll leave them in airports if I'm traveling.
How long have you been doing this?
So I started in the pandemic, right? I've always enjoyed, like, art and painting, but a canvas is so intimidating to me because I'll start and I have this idea, but I never finish.
Yeah.
So the rocks are small enough that I can actually finish, and if I take a break, I don't, it's fine. It's easier to come back to it and finish. So it's like that sense of completion, of finishing something. I like that dopamine hit.
Gotta get that dopamine.
That's why the rocks work really well. And plus, it's nice to see people like appreciate them or find them, or the surprise, just going about your day in life, and then you see something like just.
So you drop them and then you stalk the corners.
Not all the time. But like in my neighborhood, so people will post them sometimes and say, "Oh, I found this cool rock," and it's always nice to like see that.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
It's nice to put like that little happiness out in the world.
Yeah.
Sarah, you and I have worked together before previously.
Yes.
I've spent many times in your office.
many conversations.
Many conversations.
Many therapy sessions.
Lots of therapy sessions. She usually reminded me to close the door. I knew the wisdom was coming when the door was getting closed.
Got it.
And I just freaking love you. I do. You're like, I don't know, you've always felt like my kind of people. You've been through a lot, and I actually don't know a lot about, when I worked with you, I knew that your marital problems were happening, like they were underlying, but I didn't know anything really. And I knew you had a son, but we never dug into that. I never knew where I could talk to you about that. So it's so weird, like fast forward a couple years and now I'm like,
So obviously today's topic is going to be around divorce.
Yes.
Being a parent and kind of how that has affected life, how the decision came about, and your journey through it. So, thank you so much for being here with us. And
It takes a lot to be
It
here.
really does. And, giving us your candor on everything that's going on, because I feel like it's something that has happened a lot for our generation, like as far as like our parents have a higher divorce rate than I think our generation. Like, I come from a divorced family. You come from a divorced family. My mom was, divorced once. My dad was divorced twice. It was just, it's common. So getting to know people that are our friends and like seeing your journey through it is going to be very eye-opening, I feel, for seeing the other side of it.
Yeah.
So Sarah, what was life like before? Like before you decided that this is where life was taking you?
How long did it take?
So I was married for 15 years. It was right at 15 years. I got married back in 2009, and my husband's significantly older. My ex-husband. Getting used to that.
Yeah, still getting used to it.
It is.
It's fresh. It's still fresh.
It is fresh. So my ex-husband's significantly older than me. He's 25 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And when we got married, I was, 29. Yeah, I was 29 years old. And I was at a time in my life where I was a little, feel like, out of control. I was really great at my job. I was high performing, type A, all those things. But I was also an alcoholic. I was an addict. And so I would drink all the time, pretty much every day. And I met him at a time where I was kind of broken. I had come out of a long-term relationship with someone I thought I was going to marry. When I met him, and he took care of me and made sure like I was safe, and and he was funny. Like he had qualities that I really liked, and we met at work, and so eventually I think we were together for 2 years maybe, and he talked about marriage, and I was like, I want to get married. And so we did. We got married. Never thought I was going to have kids. I really wasn't interested in kids. My sisters would make fun of me. They're like, "You're so selfish," you know, blah blah blah. And so I was like my mantra. I'm not having kids. I'm too selfish, right?
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you think about yourself? Both of you.
Yeah. But then ended up having a son. Well, in this time, I did end up getting sober in 2012. So 3 years into our marriage, got sober. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was just one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this. Because I was sick every morning.
Yep.
So sick. And I would just drink to excess. Like, you know those party bottles of wine?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't drink one. I would drink 2 of those a night.
Wow.
Yeah, that was about where I was too when I quit. I would at least 1 bottle, and I don't think it was like the bigger ones, but it was like, you know, either a bottle to 2 bottles, and then I'd like hide it so that
there's shame.
There's
shame.
100%.
You know it's not.
Yeah, like I don't want anyone to know how much I'm drinking, and then like putting it out into the, you know, recycling. You like place them in so they don't
put stuff on top. Yeah, you don't want people to see it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And then it turned into the Topo Chico bottles, and I'm like, clink, clink, clink.
I don't feel bad about that. So got sober in 2012 and had our son in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, doing life, raising him, all those things. And I probably knew, like, in the back of my head, so one thing that he says is, like, he thinks that we got divorced because of his age, which that's not the whole thing. Like, sure, I thought about that, right? And sure, I thought about that when I married him, because I was like, he's 25 years older. What's this going to be like when I'm, you know, 50 or 60 and he's, you know, 85 years old? And so, but I've always been like, I'll just worry about that later. I'm just gonna worry about that later. I do that a lot in life.
Future Sarah's problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is how we get along.
You know, and I've always been on medication too for depression, anxiety, all that stuff. Diagnosed with ADHD in 2018 or 2019, I think.
Okay.
So then I was on medication for that. And in 2021, I decided I didn't want to be on medication anymore. I wanted to like just, because I've been on medication for like over 20 years, right? Some form of medication, you know, it was all the things, Prozac, Lexapro, Xanax, hydroxyzine, like all the things. And I was like, I just need to like detox my body and just be like in a natural state and not be medicated, because I felt like it impacted. I was finally in a place where I felt like I could do that, right? I know I needed it for a while and it worked, but then I felt like I was in a place where I could finally do that. So I think it was 2021 is when I was like, okay, no more medication. So I got off medication, and I started going to, you know, a therapist.
Are you still off your medication?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Because I'd always gone to psychiatrists, you know, and they would just prescribe you and be like, okay, here's your medication. See ya in a month. Or whatever it is,
I'm on so many medications, and then I just added a bunch of like, you know, calcium and probiotics and like supplements that I had to get an extra large day counter.
You have the grandma.
I do. Yeah. I've always had that, but it didn't fit anymore, so I had to get the extra large.
Yes.
And it's like each block is like a square inch, like, and it's an inch deep. That is huge. Like,
oh my gosh. I guess it gets worse as we get older. Huh?
maybe, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how old you are. Like,
I'm 42.
okay.
Are we 42?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember. She's a month younger than me. Well, the other day she said something, and I go, we are the same age.
Oh, yeah. And I was like,
She's like, oh, yeah, you are.
You're just a little more responsible.
Yes,
Exactly. We always laugh that we can start a pharmacy between our medication.
Definitely. Like, if the zombie apocalypse happens, we're both going down.
Yeah.
Once we run out of medication. Because, like, I'm on medication for seizures and for migraines, chronic migraines, and anxiety.
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
I'm going down.
Yeah.
I will not. And then I'll lose my glasses.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna die.
But it's like, you need that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to live a normal life. And
Yeah.
that stuff helps. Like, you need it.
Yeah.
Do it.
How long did it take you to feel
Normal?
I hate that word.
I know.
How to
I say,
feel
like, not fuzz. So the way I explain it is when I was finally off the medication, it was like, when I was on the medication, I felt it just was like, I say fuzzy around the edges.
Yeah.
Right. So there
That
was
makes sense.
a wall between me and the rest of the world, like a veil. And so that kind of was a buffer for me to not really feel all the things in life. You know, things wouldn't hurt as much.
You were
I
numbing
wouldn't-
yourself.
I wasn't as sad all the time, but I also wasn't experiencing joy like I should have, you know? And so it was like, I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I'm at a point where I just want to feel whatever it is, like I want to feel it. Yeah. When it's bad, I want to feel it. And when it's good, I want to feel it because it felt like I was like missing out and wasn't really truly living my life to the best that I could. And was I experiencing it the way I wanted to? And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And so, so in 2021, I stopped taking it. So probably a good like 6 months before I was kind of felt like.
Did you have to take her off?
So
I was wondering.
I know you're not supposed to just stop taking things, okay?
Don't listen,
Disclaimer.
I was like, you worked with a doctor, right?
Disclaimer. Do not follow
need to add that
Sarah's advice here.
Of my medical provider. Okay.
This is real. This is real.
So you did what you did with drinking, cold turkey.
Exactly. And
That's
that's
why
what
I did it too, yeah.
My cold turkey was like literally one night I had a really bad night and I was like, I cannot live like this. And I just stopped.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with the medication. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just stopped.
Did you have any side effects?
I didn't.
You're fortunate.
That I remember.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. But yeah, it probably took a good 6 months where I felt like, okay, so this is what it's like. I went to a therapist and I was very cautious of what I would share with my therapist because it's hard to sometimes for me to like open up to people. And the way I grew up as a middle child, one of 5 kids, and I was always the comic relief, the peacemaker, my 2 older siblings were kind of troublemakers, right? So I got to learn from, their behavior, what was acceptable and what wasn't. And so my role in the family was to not do those things and be a good student and make good grades and, be like the perfect example of what a child should look like.
Mask
right?
yourself.
Yes. And so, then, I would do that in adulthood too. And so I'm a people pleaser and I like to make sure other people feel good about things, even when I don't, right? Like I kind of work around them and their emotions. How can I make them more comfortable? Not me. I could be freaking out in my head and super uncomfortable and just like feeling like shit. But as long as they're comfortable, we're good,
that's
right?
what matters.
Well, that's so funny that you say that. And don't mean to cut you off, but you did that. You made me feel like anxiety was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of stuffing it down or ignoring it, I don't know. I just felt like we could talk about it.
Well, I see how you guys got along so well working together. Yeah. Like, y'all are the same person.
And so in therapy, I would talk about my family, right? My family of origin, growing up. But that was like my mom, was an addict. My dad, had trouble with keeping a job, and my mom was high level type A. She was an administrator in hospital systems all the time. And despite her, drinking and her addiction, she was still high performing and was able to get the work done. And so talked a lot about that. And I didn't talk about my marriage for a long time because I just wasn't like ready, because I knew in the back of my head, like it wasn't what I wanted, right? We all look out in the world and we see, relationships other people have, and you're like, gosh, that would be really nice to have that. Like I want to walk around and, hold someone's hand, or someone open a car door for me, or get a door for me. And those silly little things, and you're like, I would like that. And not that my husband wouldn't try to hold my hand, like he would, but I didn't want to. I wasn't interested. It was more of like just kind of living like roommates,
Was this from kind of the beginning, or
not at the beginning, no.
Okay.
But I think as I got sober, as I got in touch with like myself and really did my inner work, with therapy and everything, I just kind of learned like what I was okay with and what my life could be one day, why am I living like this? Why am I living, being depressed or sad, or, I felt like I was like a shell of myself, right? I was always taking care of everyone else. Does my husband have what he needs? Does my son have what he needs? And, I made more money, I was the breadwinner. And so I had this pressure on myself. My mother always taught me, don't ever depend on a man for anything. You have to make sure that you can always take care of yourself and your children. One of the biggest issues that we had in our marriage was just communication overall. And I prefer to communicate because I think it helps clear things up. It makes, it makes things
so
run more
nice.
smoothly. And so a lot of the times when we would argue, most of the time it would be about like our son, right? And it like how he's parenting him versus how I am and what's acceptable there. And we would have these conversations where we would come to an agreement and say, okay, no YouTube, it's dangerous. Like you can't control the algorithm and things pop up that we don't have control over. You walk up, like even if you're sitting next to him, you don't want something to pop up that's going to impact him for the rest of his life, an image, right?
Yeah.
It's going to stick with him. Regardless of what he's watching, like you just can't control it. And so that was like one of our biggest ones is like YouTube. And my ex-husband never wanted to say no to him. He wanted to be the cool dad, like the fun one.
The fun dad.
Yes. Like I just don't want to disappoint him. I want to give him what he wants. And like, you don't give the kids everything they want. Right. And that's what I'm always the bad guy. Yeah. I'm the one with the rules, with the boundaries. This is not okay. This is okay.
I wonder if he felt that way too, just being like the older dad, if that was his kind of like compromise he was trying to do.
Well, and he has 5 other kids from a few other marriages too, right? And so he doesn't have a great relationship with those kids.
So it's not just here.
Yeah. So this is his chance to really have a good relationship with his son. And so I think he overcompensated.
How long did you guys date before you got married?
Like 2 years, I would say 2 years. Yeah. So it was right after I bought my house. And we started dating. So, but then in talking with my therapist, sorry to go back to that. We got to a point where I, finally was able to open up about my marriage and how it was. It's like we don't talk. We don't even sleep in the same bed. Like he'll fall asleep putting our son to sleep. Right? He won't. And it didn't feel like a marriage. It just felt like just 2 people cohabitating and, going through life and disagreeing on, the important stuff to raise a child. And, when I would try to have conversations with him, he would just shut down. He wouldn't even talk to me. He would literally walk away from me in the middle of a sentence. I'm in the middle of a sentence trying to explain my point of view or my perspective, and he would just walk away.
Yeah.
And it was years of that. And feeling, diminished, less than, that my voice doesn't count, that I don't count, that I don't matter. And talking with my therapist, she did tell me, she's like, listen, so you have to decide. You have to decide if you stay, you have to find a way to live with him, right? And so you have to find happiness outside of your marriage. So that means you have to find friends that you want to hang out with, the girlfriends that you enjoy hanging out with. You need to do that. You need to find a hobby that you enjoy. You need to find things that make you happy because you're not going to find it there.
Right.
And you have to accept it. She said, or
Radical acceptance.
yes, or you have to make a decision and leave. Right. And so I would try, right? I'd be like, okay, I need to do stuff with friends. Right. But I was in a place in my head where it was like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to do any of that. And so like the beginning of 2024 was very like, I didn't go anywhere. There would be a whole weekend where I wouldn't even leave the house and I'd just sit in my room and I don't know, watch Netflix, listen to music, look on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And I would just sit in there and I wouldn't go anywhere unless I had to, right? If my son had an engagement or something, we'd take him, but it was just go home, right? Even groceries, we'd order them online and can you go pick this up? I didn't want to go anywhere. And I was very, very depressed and I was overweight and, and still no drinking. Like I still didn't drink, right? Yeah. I didn't want to do that. But I just was so sad all the time. And so finally and he would ask, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. I'm not happy. Yeah. I'm not happy. And I would cry and he didn't know what to do. Right. So then he would just
shut down
the room. He would leave the room. Right. I guess save that worry for another day. And so in September of 2024, that's when I was like, okay, I'm not happy and I'm overweight And all I do is sit in this room and think all the time about my life and what I want to do and all these things. I said, I'm just going to start walking. I'm going to start walking a few days a week, and at least I'll get like exercise. Maybe it'll clear my mind. Maybe I can, I don't know, and it'll be good for me, right? It'll be good for me. So I did. In September of 2024, I started walking, and I, started with a couple miles, 3 days a week. And it felt good. It felt good to have that activity. It felt good to have just a quiet place in my mind, no distractions, right?
No music, no nothing.
I would do music.
Go.
So sometimes I would listen to music or podcasts or books, just kind of dependent on what kind of mood I was in.
Yeah.
And I started to lose weight, right? And you kind of start to lose weight, and I'm like, I feel better about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I would walk 4 days a week, and then it was 5 days a week, and then it was 7 days a week, right? And then it went from 2 miles a day to 5 miles a day. I feel good about myself right now. And I have this mental clarity that I haven't had in a long time, because when you walk and when you're outside, and it's just quiet. It's like this time in my mind to reflect and figure out my life and ask myself questions and answer them and make decisions. So I was making decisions during these walks.
It's like your own little personal kind of therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
If I'm ever stuck on something, I'll go for a walk, and by 30 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
That wasn't that big.
I used to do long walks during the pandemic, like COVID, when we were all stuck at home. We'd just go walking for forever on our own, and it was always fun. It's just so dang hot outside.
I know. It really is.
I was walking every day, and then I broke my ankle, so I had to get back into it. In 3 places.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I was wondering what you're gonna do with the fence, because you either like high five it or
Yes.
fist bump it.
Yes.
I'm like, what's she gonna do with the fence today?
Oh, were you recording?
So I would post on I started posting on my Instagram, like right before I took a walk, I would take a selfie, right? Because it was kind of like it would hold me accountable.
Yeah.
And during my walk, there's like this fence. I walk the whole neighborhood, and it's 5 miles the way I do it. And so kind of there's this fence that separates our neighborhood from another neighborhood. And so I always walk up to it and touch it, right? Touch the fence. But then I started doing like smack the fence, high five the fence, rock, scissors, paper the fence. And so in the middle of my walk, I'll do a short little video of whatever I decide to do that day. My walking or my roll, because I also decided I'm going to start training for a 5K. I never thought I would want to do that. So I started doing that too, posting my results. And then people would say, you've really inspired me. I've started walking, and asking me questions like, how long do you walk, or what made you start, or just asking for advice and stuff. And that was really empowering too, because I had no idea, right? I'm just doing it to hold myself accountable. And then people probably a handful of people have reached out to me and told me, hey, you've inspired me in doing this.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
I think that's so important. Like, we don't realize how what we do can impact or inspire somebody else.
Yeah.
Because we look at it from our point of view, like, oh, that person inspires me. But then we never think about that we could be that person to somebody else too. So I love that, not even trying to be that person, that you did it, but you were still able to inspire. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was very humbling.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wasn't expecting that kind of communication from people. So that was pretty cool. And it's our 15-year wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. And we went, out to dinner, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Why am I celebrating this anniversary that I'm just not feeling the marriage? Like, it was very, we didn't have a lot to talk about. We're at this nice restaurant, food was great, but we didn't, it was just kind of like, there was no connection there, right? Yeah. And there hadn't been a connection in a long time. At that point, my therapist knew, like, I'm going to stay until my kid's 18. And my fear was, how do I tell my child? Like, how is my kid going to turn out if he has divorce parents? Like, what's that going to look like? I don't want to damage my child.
Were your parents ever divorced?
So, funny story. They got divorced, yes. After we had an intervention with my mom some years ago, and they got divorced, and then they remarried each other.
Oh, okay.
A few years later.
Yeah. So kind of yes and no.
Yes.
They're still together,
yes.
but had the separation.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was my biggest fear of the whole thing, was how am I I don't want to hurt my kid. I don't want to damage my child. I want him to have a good life. I want him to be happy. I want him to feel complete. And so the other side of that, though, was I want my son to know what a good marriage looks like.
Yeah.
I want my son to know what a real relationship looks like. And
what does love look like?
What does love look like? And what does a loving relationship look like?
Yeah.
And right now, what am I teaching him? And so when I kind of looked at it that way, I was like, I want him to be a good man, right?
Yeah.
I want him to take care of his wife, and I want him to cherish her and love her, and just be a good man. And if I didn't make this change, then I wasn't sure if that would happen, you know?
Yeah.
January 2025 rolls around. I came home from work one evening, and I come in the house, and it's kind of dark, and I come in from the garage, and I'm like, hello? And I didn't see anyone. The lights were out. There weren't a lot of lights on. It was probably like 6:30 or something. And I hear my ex, he was in the study on the phone talking to somebody. And then I look in the living room, and I see my son. I walk over to him, and I said, hey, buddy. And he stands up real quick, right? And I said, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm just on the phone. I said, is that Daddy's phone? He doesn't have a phone. And he said, yes. And I said, what are you looking at? And he said, oh, I was watching some soccer stuff. He loves soccer. Yeah. He plays soccer. And I said, okay, what are you watching it on? And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, are you watching it on YouTube? He said, yes, ma'am. And I said, okay, you know you're not supposed to do that, right? He said, I know, Mom. I said, did Dad say that it was okay? He said, yes. He said it was okay. I said, okay. Well, give me the phone. I'll give it to Dad. Go in your room and hang out. I'm going to have a conversation with Dad. And that's when I knew that I couldn't do this anymore, is when I came home that night. And it would be different if we hadn't talked about it 100 times already. And him saying, you're right, no YouTube. But then turning around and letting him watch YouTube, you know? And putting him in that situation that we don't have control over. And if he's going to do it with that, then he's going to do it with other things.
Right.
And I was tired of trying to control the situations, right? Because I knew I couldn't. I finally realized I can't control it. No matter how much I'm moving around and shifting and around everybody else and trying to control these situations and these behaviors. Yes. Yeah. I can't do it anymore. Yeah. It's not working. And I'm driving myself crazy.
Yes.
And
you're resentful.
Yes. So resentful. So angry, so resentful, and just not even hurt anymore. Not hurt anymore.
Just mad.
And accepting it. Like it's never going to change. Right. So angry.
Do you feel like disrespected? Like he just never... Because that's the conversation that my husband and I have, is like, no matter like what the argument is, we try to be like, stay respectful. And so if we set boundaries, we both agree them together and we go by those. Yeah. So was it just with that, or was there other things too?
There were other things through the years that we would disagree on, and then turn around and he just did it anyway. Right. Yeah. Right. And I just got so tired of feeling that way, because it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what I do, the behavior's never going to change. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what he says. Right. It only matters what he does. Right. And he was doing the exact opposite of what we talked about. So I talked to him for a few minutes, told him, I'm really disappointed again, because we talked about this again, so many times. And you're just not getting the importance of it. It's not important to you. That's what I told him. It's just not important to you. Yeah. It's important to me. Mm-hmm. It's important to the health of our child and his, well-being, but it's not important to you. I kept giving and giving and giving and making exceptions and giving it a chance. And it's okay, fine. Accepting things I wouldn't normally accept. Right. And I couldn't do it anymore. So I just told him, hey, we need to have a serious conversation. And he said, what's up? And I just told him, I said, I don't want to be married anymore. I can't do this anymore. He got upset. Of course, he told me, I knew this was coming. That's what he said. He said, I knew this was coming. And I said, okay. So you've known that the situation isn't great. You've known that we're not thriving. You've known that there's something wrong, clearly. And he says all the things, I'll do whatever it takes. We can go to therapy. I just love you so much. All the things that he says, and
I'll do it, but I need you to
do it. You need to figure it out and let me know what I'm doing.
And that's the thing, though, is like I always figure everything out. Paying all the bills and managing the budget and knowing what we can spend. And the groceries, the doctor's appointments, the activities, all the things. And not to say that he doesn't help, because he did. I mean, he was present and doing those things.
Was he open to therapy before?
So we had gone to therapy years ago. He had lost his job at one point and was very angry and would like lash out, and nothing physical, but just not himself, right? Kind of very angry.
Yeah.
And so we went to therapy because we wanted to, work through that. And so this time I was finally like, I can't do it anymore. I'm tired of living like this. I'm unhappy. I've been unhappy for a long time. It'd be better if we weren't together anymore. I still care for you. I care for him. He's the father of our child. He was a good friend to me. I don't love him in that way.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. And I gave many years to him, like probably some of the best years that I had. I gave to this person. And I feel like I lost out on a lot because I also wasn't ready, I had to go through those things in order to get to this point. And so, he asked me, he said, have you spoken with an attorney yet? And I said, no, I haven't yet, but that's on my to-do list. I just wanted to let you know that this is where I am. I just don't really do this anymore. It was very emotional. He was very emotional.
How were you?
I cried a little, but I was very resolute.
Yeah.
I was confident in it. Yeah. I felt like it was what I needed to do.
Did you feel like a weight kind of lifted off of you after you said it?
That's why I literally just took a deep breath.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of pent up emotion and anger and frustration, and to know that I'm actually doing something about it and there will be an end in sight made me feel like better. Yeah. Still sad, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I had been grieving my marriage for a long time. Yeah. So it wasn't like this was new to me, right? Mm-hmm. And I told him that too. I said, I've been grieving this for a long time. I've known this wasn't working. I've gone through all the emotions that you're going through right now. That's what I've been doing
over years.
Yes. And I said, so I'm in a different place than you are right now. I just, dropped this on you.
Yeah. Even though he knew.
Yeah. Gave you this realization. And so you have to work through that. And I get it. Got a recommendation for a divorce attorney, went and talked to her. She helped guide me through the process, told me what to expect, filed the paperwork for me. We didn't have to serve him because we lived together. So I just gave it to him. Mm-hmm. And he reviewed it, and still, he kind of went back and forth in the coming months. Well, maybe I want custody of our son. Okay, well, you can certainly try that.
Like full custody?
Not full, but the primary is what I need to call it. And those were the things that really made me mad. Yeah. When he would say those types of things to me.
Why?
Because I was doing it for the good of, like, me and my son, right? I was thinking about me and my son and what would be best for him. I felt like he was doing it to spite me, and he was being selfish. Could I live just seeing my son every 2 weeks and then maybe a weekday here and there? And that would be very hard. Mm-hmm. So I understood that part, but then I would also think about his parenting, the things that he accepted versus what I accept, and all of that. And do I want to have my child in that situation? I wanted him in a place where I knew I could control the environment, whatever he's exposed to, that kind of stuff. So those were really hard for me when he would say those things. Mm-hmm. And it would make me angry, so angry, and very emotional. And I would just go on my wall, I'd be crying, I'd be talking to my friends, on the phone, here's what's happening now, and help me figure this out, and why is he doing this, and try to make everybody else feel comfortable, right? I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to be worried. I don't want you to be in pain. Blah, blah, blah. I was still doing it with him. How can I make this not so terrible for him? I still do it today. I still do it today because I don't want him to hurt. Even though I was hurting, I didn't want him to hurt.
Yeah.
But I also couldn't keep doing it all the time at my own expense.
You were hurting yourself,
right,
over and over,
right. And so that was really hard. And I also didn't want to make him super mad because I didn't want him to, because then it was, well, he didn't get an attorney. He didn't end up getting an attorney. He talked about getting an attorney.
But I didn't do it, so he didn't do it.
But so he didn't end up getting an attorney because I was like, look, I've already, I've got an attorney. Here's the paperwork. We can, if you want, we can go through the paperwork and decide what do we want this to look like. Like we can make changes and tell my attorney what we want. You can also take this to an attorney and get it looked at, make sure it's legit. He'd been divorced 3 times, so the goal was to get him to sign the paperwork so that we can move on to the next steps. Give it to the judge and have them sign off on it without having to go through any sort of like mediation or go in front of a judge. And through this whole time, he wanted to try to make it work. He would tell me, "We're trying to make it work. Can we please try?" And my thing is, like, you've had years to try.
Yeah.
And not that I'm innocent at all.
Right.
I know my behaviors sometimes weren't great. I would get mad at really dumb things.
Because you were full of resentment.
Yes. And it was, I was so resentful. And even like the way he drove, I would get mad.
Yeah.
The way, if he wouldn't use the toothpaste tube all the way.
I think that there are things you'll also like look over that at first, like when you're in love with someone, like they say love is blind, those are things that are like, oh, it's cute or whatever it is, or you look past it because you love this person so much, but you've already gone through these steps and you're already past it. You've gone through this grieving process, and now these little things that weren't issues before now have become big issues. And it's like, grates on your nerves for sure.
Yeah. We don't have a true partnership.
I wanted a partnership.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
It's fun.
Right? Like to have someone to go through life with it, has your back and is.
Yeah.
And he would say those things to me.
But not do it.
But the actions weren't there.
Actions speak louder than words.
And he has a hard time understanding that. One of the things he would always tell me is, I put you on a pedestal. But it didn't feel like that. Like you can say that, but that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the actual, that wasn't the reality of it. And so that was, he still has a hard time understanding that too. Finally got up to a place where we decided, I said, look, we need to get this figured out. It's, it's been going on. This is like March, I think. You've had the papers, you haven't hired an attorney. Do you want to just go through this line by line and agree or disagree on things and just redline this and do what works for us? Can we do that? And he said, yeah, let's do that. So we sat there and, his thing was, I just have a hard time. I don't want to just see our son every other weekend. And I had done some research and I said, okay, well, here's something that might work. That way we get him equal amounts of time. He has time with both of us and no one's getting more than the other person.
You live in the same neighborhood to make it convenient.
We did, yes. I did help him find a house, a rental home in our neighborhood, because my thing was I wanted to make it less stressful on our son, the least amount of stress on our son as possible, right? Big change like that. How can we make it less terrible? Because it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, I have a question about the beginning. Like, you guys have now lived in the same neighborhood still, but like, you've told him now that you want to move forward with the divorce. Like, what were those initial days like?
So he was super angry and hurt.
Yeah.
And there were times when he just didn't want to talk to me or make eye contact because he's not the best at communicating. He wouldn't speak at all to me for the first few days, or just very minimally. It was more awkward for him. It still is more awkward for him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want the divorce.
What prompted you guys to sleep in separate rooms?
It was just like a natural kind of, it just happened. One thing about our son is he's very like hands-on with him. And that is one thing he likes to play with him and they roughhouse and do all that stuff.
Did y'all live together until you found him a new house?
We did. Yes,
Okay.
we did.
So how long was that?
So that was from January to April, end of April.
Wow.
I wanted to have all of our ducks in a row before we
You wanted it as clean as possible.
That is definitely not how it happened with my parents. No, I was a senior in high school. I'm the youngest of 3. So as my siblings were at college, I was the mascot, and it was after a football game. I had gone to the after party at, one of the rich kids' houses, and then went home by myself, and there was a note on my bed that was like, a note from my father saying that he was going first into rehab because he was, getting sober. He was over 18 years sober when he passed away. And then after that, he never moved back in.
On a note.
From him, because he wasn't there, like, I didn't get the, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. It was just like, here's what's happening. And I was like, oh, I bawled in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm grateful as a child of that, like, you guys wanted, like, you went through what you did to make it, easier on him. Obviously, you've told him at this point now in life.
Yes.
How did that go?
So we told him in, I think it was April.
Okay.
It was about 2 weeks before everything was finalized, I think. So we sat him down in the living room and I told him, hey, bud, we have something important that we need to talk to you about. So we both sat down. I wanted to make sure we did it together, not one or the other, because I wanted to make sure we were both there. The messaging was consistent and it was what we wanted it to sound like. Least painful, right?
Yeah. Did you guys rehearse that beforehand or talk through
We kind of talked through it, what we wanted to say. I told my husband at the time, I said, it's really important that we're on the same page. Not just now, but even afterwards, that we still have the same messaging, and it's not, well, your mom doesn't want to be married to me anymore. Your mom doesn't love me anymore.
Yeah.
That's only going to damage him. And he's our priority. He's the most important part of this equation. We need to make sure that we do it the right way.
I feel like that's too common in divorces, is to blame the other.
Did he stay on message?
He did.
So far, so good?
Yes.
Good.
So far that I know. Sat him down in the living room. We did it on a Friday because I didn't want to. I mean, everything was planned out, right? I don't want him to
don't
down
miss school
the next day, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to be super upset. Like, we can have the weekend to talk through and answer questions and then go to school, right? So I did let his teacher know ahead of time. I sent her an email and just let her know, hey, just so you're aware, we're going to let our son know that we are, unfortunately we're getting a divorce and we're letting him know. So I just wanted to let you know when he comes in on Monday, if he's talking about it or something, you can help work through those questions or interject as you feel necessary. So we let the teacher know and then sat him down on the couch and just said, hey, bud, we got something really important we got to talk to you about. I said, so, your dad and I have been talking and, you may have noticed that we argue sometimes and we're not getting along very well. We also want you to understand that you're so important. Like, you're amazing. You're strong. You are so good at sports, at soccer. You're so kind-hearted. You're an amazing person. And we're so proud of you and the young man that you are. I said, but your dad and I have decided that we're gonna get a divorce. He said, you're getting a divorce? I said, yes, we are. I said, and none of this is your fault. This is a decision between your dad and I that, it was very difficult for us to make this decision, but we feel like it's going to be the best for everybody in the long run. And he just said, a divorce. And he just stood up and just started crying, like bawling, right? And he just like pacing around the living room. And then he just ran to the back door and ran outside into the backyard. And so I like jump up. My husband at the time kind of stands up, doesn't know what to do. And I run out in the backyard. And he's in the backyard, and he sinks down to the ground, and he's just like touching the grass, And so I run over to him and I put my arms around him and I get down next to him, and I'm like rubbing his back, and I said, I know this is super, super scary, and you probably don't even know what you're feeling right now. You're probably so confused, and that's okay. That's normal. So, but we have answers for everything. Like, we have a plan, and it's scary, but we have everything lined out, and I want to share that with you. I want to make sure that you understand that even though we're not going to be married anymore, that we're still going to be in each other's lives. This doesn't mean that you're not going to see us together ever again. This doesn't mean that. Well, I said, your dad and I, we don't hate each other. We still care about each other. We're still going to be friends. We're just not going to be married, And then my husband at the time, comes out and he's kind of standing there. He said, I don't understand. I said, I know it's a lot to take in. I said, but he said, where am I going to live? I said, there's things that are going to change, but there's a lot of things that are going to stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you and I, we're going to stay in this house, right? This will be where you and I live. So you're still going to have the same school. You're going to have the same friends. You're still going to have your Fortnite. You know, you still got you still got the soccer goal in the backyard. You're still going to be here. I said,
Good connectors.
I said, but another cool thing is we found a house in the neighborhood for Dad, right? So it's actually in the neighborhood. So you're going to be really close. So whether you're with me or with Dad, we're going to be really close. So if you need something, if you're with Dad and you need something from me, just come over. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Right. If you're with me and you need something from, well, let's go get it. I said, do you want to go see the house? Do you want to go see the house and maybe pick out your room? And he said, we can go see the house. And I said, sure, let's go do it.
So already.
So I'm like texting the agent. I was like,
Hey.
real quick, just told my son about the divorce. Can you run over there real quick and show him the house?
You go with that?
He's like, yes, absolutely. Here's the code. Let's go take a look at the house. Do you want to drive over or do you want to walk over? He said, I want to walk. I said, that's a good idea. Let's walk. So all three of us, went out the back gate and walked down the street. And my husband was I think like a little bit ahead of us, and it was just me and my son kind of walking, and he said, Mom, how long have you known about this? You've known about this for a while. And I said, well, I've known that it wasn't working. And like I said, it was a really, really hard decision. And the reason it was a hard decision is because we both love you so much.
Yeah.
And we want you to be happy, and we want you to experience life, and we want you to grow up and be an amazing person. You already are, but we want that to continue, and we want that to be in an environment where you can do those things, and where you feel the love and support all the time, and there's not that extra tension. And you deserve that. And so, it's not easy, and this is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. But I do, I kept saying we, because we do feel
Staying
like
on message.
in the long run, it's going to be better for everybody. It's going to hurt right now.
Yeah.
And it might hurt for a while, and I don't know how long it's going to hurt, right? But it's, I'm hurting, your dad's hurting, I can tell you're hurting, but we're a family, and we're going to work through it together. And so we're walking, and we get to the house, we go inside, we walk up to it, he said, oh, it kind of looks a little bit like our house. I'm like, it does, doesn't it? And so he goes in, and we're just like, so what do you think? What room do you think would be good for you? Like, what do you think would work best? And he's like going through, and he goes in the
Primary room.
He goes into the primary bedroom, looks around, puts his
How much can I get right now?
This'll work for me. I said, I had a feeling you were going to say that. But anyway,
Did he get the primary room?
No, he did not.
Okay. Pretty cool if you did.
I know. I was like, no, it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, he walks around. He made a decision, right? He's going, whoa, I think I can fit my desk here. I need a desk. I'm like, you're right. We got a desk for you. Like, you'll have a desk. He's like, but what about furniture? I said, that's for us to worry about. I said, what we can do is, if you're interested, we can go to the furniture store tomorrow and pick out some furniture that you want. Like, you want to pick out your bed and dresser and stuff. We can go do that. That way you get a room that you really like. And so we arranged that. We did that. But yeah, he picked out his room and weighed the pros and cons of the two bedrooms and decided which one he wanted, and his spirits were lifted a little bit. And then we were done. I said, okay, well, let's head back to the house. So we start walking back to the house, and I said to him, what questions do you have? I know this is a lot. And his questions weren't too deep. It was kind of like taking everything in at that point, right? It was new. And I told him too, I said, you're going to think about things a lot, and that's okay. And you're going to have questions. And I want you to know that when those times do come up, that you please ask me, ask your dad. We're going to answer them for you. And if we don't have the answer, we're going to find out the answer and get it for you. I said, do you remember us talking about our circle of grace? So we have this thing that we call a circle of grace.
Tell me more.
Yes.
I knew you were about to know this. I love this.
So our circle of grace are adults in our lives that we trust that are going to have our best interest at heart. Good people. We're Christian, right? So they believe in God. And, they're people that we know if we ever need anything and our parents aren't available, then we need to call somebody in our circle of grace. And so I said to him, I said, we talk about our circle of grace. And he said, yes. I said, so remind me who's in your circle of grace. There's going to be times maybe where you're sad or frustrated, or even if you're happy and you want to talk to somebody in your circle of grace, and you don't want to talk to me, or maybe you don't want to talk to Dad. And that's okay. You need to talk to someone. And so those are the people that you can call and have conversations with and ask questions and share things. And they're going to have your best interest at heart. I said, so please know that when the time comes and you need to speak to those people, they're there for you. And after that, I was just kind of checking in with them every day. How you doing? How you feeling? That next day we went shopping for some furniture. We purchased some furniture for his room and got some stuff for, their house. And I thought it was important for him to be a part of that, right? Because I wanted him to feel like he had some sort of control over the situation. In a situation where children don't have control, like what can I give him that he has control over? And for me, it was being able to have him do those things. And then I also work for a moving company, and so sometimes we have clients that are getting rid of furniture, and we work with a lot of high-end clients. So we were able to get some of that furniture too to put in the house and everything. And then also, since I work for a moving company, then my ex was like, well, I guess I gotta find movers. And I was like, well, good thing a good company. That'll be taken care of. Yeah. He's like, well, I gotta pay him. I was like, yeah, tip them, sure, yeah, tip them, but it's taken care of. We're gonna get you moved. So my son, got to pick out his room, and he felt good about it, about that. And then from that point, I guess it was about 2 weeks until it was time to move out. My biggest fear was just telling him, breaking the news, right? That was the whole build up for this whole thing. His world changes, right? He's innocent and going, living his life and playing his games and just having a good time and just being a kid. And then I dump this adult problem on him that he's going to have to navigate and figure out how to, live with. And, that for me, there's guilt around that for me. Right? Because, well, Sarah, if you just stay and deal with it, then you won't have to do this, right? But if I stay and, quote, deal with it, how much of myself do I lose in the process? That felt worse than breaking it to him and allowing him to live in an environment where he doesn't know what real love looks like.
It struck me when you said that he looked at you and said, you've known about this.
Kids are very
He really
observant.
meant he knew about this. He knew all along that it wasn't working.
Right. Because, he sees my sister and her husband, right? He sees them and how they, interact. And when they get back from being away from each other, they give each other a kiss. It's the first thing they do. Hey, honey, how are you doing?
Has he pointed that out to you?
No, he hasn't, but he's been around it, right? So he sees others. And we never.
Even the beginning?
I don't even remember. Wow. And I look back on who I was when I married him, right? Versus who I am now. And it's two totally different people. And
I'd be worried if it wasn't.
Fair. And I look back, and I don't even like that Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
She was drunk. She was sloppy. She didn't have her shit together. She was kind of all over the place.
I feel that.
I feel sad for her.
Yeah.
And then I feel sad because that was me, right? And I don't hate that Sarah.
Of course not.
I just don't like her very much.
You're such a bitch.
But then I also think I had to be that Sarah to get to this Sarah.
Yeah.
I had to go through those things, and I had to experience those things so that I could be who I am today. I had to go through those days and those years and experience those things so that
You said I hated that Sarah. I wonder, again, I've been through intense therapy this year. Have you ever wrote a letter to that Sarah? I don't know.
No, that might help them.
Yeah.
I've started doing that because I've recognized in myself, like, you know, corporate pep rally Michelle, or, you know, and I just realized recently that, like, I've gained and lost weight like 60 pounds 3 times in the last 7 years. And I tend to make yesterday's Michelle bad. And that pain, the judgment, the resentment still, I feel like, lives. And it's like I need to come clean with not just like the people in my life, but the parts of myself that I've betrayed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just something I'm just now diving into.
I think that's a really good idea. I've always enjoyed writing.
Yeah.
Using my words.
Yeah.
And I think that might be actually very therapeutic to be able to do that. And maybe
Totally.
she was just doing the best she could.
Yeah, she was. She
She didn't really know better.
No, with all the tools in her toolbox.
I evolved in our marriage. I would think a healthy marriage will evolve together. The partners will evolve together. But we didn't.
Yeah.
I was about, growth and becoming a better person mentally, physically, and he wasn't. He was kind of the same. He didn't change very much. I couldn't feel my best or be my best in that environment. There were times when I just didn't want to come home. It didn't feel good. I didn't want to come home.
Yeah.
So I'd stay at work later, or, even
Seen you at work late.
And just coming home was just I just felt it when I walked in, and I wanted to feel good in my home. I wanted to feel like I belonged and that I was happy, because my son lives there. Like, I want to enjoy coming home to see him.
You want it to be a safe place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for a very long time.
Yeah. I think I've actually heard you say, I don't want to go home.
Mm-hmm. You probably. Yeah. One interesting thing, he didn't get an attorney, right? And so my attorney sent me the final, when the judge signed off on it and it was final, I emailed my attorney. I'm like, so are we divorced now? She's like, yeah, you're divorced now. And I was like, oh, cool, right? And so I go, like a couple days, and I'm like, wait, who's going to tell my husband?
Yeah.
Or my ex-husband, right? He doesn't have an attorney. Am I supposed to tell him?
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
So then I was like, oh shit, no one's told him. No one's told him that we're like officially divorced.
You did it?
I did.
Oh my
said,
God.
How'd you do it? Did you text him?
You couldn't like delegate that to your lawyer or something. Like, give him a call.
I didn't want to pay for that.
I mean, that's fair.
That would have been at least $200. And it might have taken 5 business
3 to 5
days.
business.
Yes.
I told him and I said, oh, hey. And I think it was in a phone call. I said, I noticed this email in my inbox. I totally just opened it. But I have the divorce paperwork. The divorce came through. So I'm going to forward you the paperwork so you have the decree. He goes, oh, so we're divorced? I said, yep, looks like it's official. We are divorced.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, okay. All right. I was like, all right, well, I gotta go.
Totally worth saving the money.
100%. Well, that was over the phone.
Yeah.
Did you change your name back?
So I'm keep my name so I have the same last name as my son.
Plus the
Changing everything was
so hard.
Yeah. He moved out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moving day came. We did it on a day when our son was in school so that we could just get that. We didn't want it to be emotional or, super. We let him know, of course, like, hey, just, Dad's, moving into the new house today.
Yeah.
So when you get home, be a little different. So moving guys came, got everything moved over to the new place, and I had my space. And
How good did that feel?
it felt so good. It was literally like a weight had been lifted, right? I felt like there was just always this heaviness in the home. And I just looked around, and yes, granted there's less furniture and the house bigger than what we need. It was mine. It was my space now.
What did you turn his room into?
Did you do anything initially to your house that, like, once all of his things were out, that you were like, it's mine, I'm gonna smudge my house?
One thing that I was never very good at when I was married was like spending money on myself. I was always spending it on them. I've been wanting new bedding, so I'm going to get new bedding. So we're in the Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
And I got the good stuff, right? The comfy stuff, right? I was like,
Egyptian cotton.
yeah. I was like, there's this dishware I wanted from Crate and Barrel. I'm gonna go get that. Spent money on things that I wanted to spend money on, but just never did.
Yeah.
Because I always felt guilty. I always felt guilty spending money on myself or some things that I wanted. Well, is that really necessary? You already have plates. Like, you have dishware. You don't need all that. Or, this bedding is fine, but no, I wanted like nice stuff. I wanted to make it my own. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I did spend money on those kinds of things.
What were the reactions from like family, friends?
But I have two sisters that I, told initially, and they were supportive. They care about my ex-husband, right? They like him as a person, and he's a good person. He's a good man. And I don't have any ill feelings towards him. I know there's some marriages that break up and they always at each other's throats, right? But what's the point of that? I cared about him enough at one point to have a child with him. So, yeah, he's not terrible. He's not terrible. He's a good person.
Wasn't right for you.
Wasn't right for me. My sisters were supportive. They still talk to him to this day. Like, they'll reach out on his birthday or they'll, say hi and stuff. My dad, didn't go the way I thought it would. So I told him, and he's also someone who's not very good at talking about his feelings. Yeah, I guess there's a theme here. At first he's like, "Gosh, I'm so sorry. I hate that you guys are going through this. It breaks my heart." Right before my ex was moving out, and I just let him know. I said, "Husband at the time is going to be moving out by this date," and he just said, "Okay, well, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to say to that. So I'm going to let you go." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Dad. All right, bye." At first I was upset about it because I was, sharing this information and trying to have a conversation and
Trying to get support from your dad.
I told my sisters about it, and they're like, "Well, sometimes Dad doesn't know how to react to,
Right.
Doesn't know how to respond to things.
Right.
It's not his thing." And I know that. And when you know something, but it still hurts.
You want the different response, knowing you're not going to get it, and then you still get disappointed.
Yeah.
If you didn't get it.
Yeah. Eventually, I think my sisters kind of talked to him in the background. So then, well, Siri, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry I don't respond the way I should. I just feel so damn terrible about it, and I just don't even know what to say. And I said,
That's adorable.
I said, "You know what, Dad? You don't always have to have the answers. Sometimes I just want you to listen."
That's something I try to tell my husband more, because he's always trying to
fix.
He's the fixer. He wants to fix it for me. So I called him on my way to Houston yesterday with a situation that came up around work and just my feelings around it. And I'm like, "Listen, I'm just venting. I don't need
Don't need a solution from you."
But he let me vent, and then he was like, I was like, "Okay, now I'll take the solution." So, I think that...
Because you knew it was there.
Yes, I know that, anytime I try to, have a conversation with him and just vent, he will have a solution to me or for me and tell me that I'm not doing something the right way, or I'm being too emotional about it, or I should do... And I'm just like, okay, go into it knowing this. Let's say this first.
You validated it for yourself.
Yes, I have to.
That's something in therapy when we went to marriage counseling. The counselor was like, "You have to let your partner know before you start talking to them. Here's what I need from you. I need you to listen, or I need you to help me figure this out."
Yeah.
If you go in letting them know what you're looking for, then they know how to respond in the way that you need.
Through this process, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself?
That I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I do just always have this self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing? Is this, can I do this? Divorce is scary because there's all the, what are people gonna think? The important people, right? I don't care what anyone else thinks, right? But there's the, what's my family gonna think? What are my friends? I have some friends that are super, religious, I guess you would say. Like, how are they gonna
They're gonna look at you
this,
differently,
right? And I just kind of told you're not doing this for anyone else but yourself and your son. Like,
Yeah.
and so it really doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that has to live with myself. But I'm stronger than I thought I was, and I can do the things, right? So there's some things around the house that I would just, ask the husband to do at the time, right?
Yeah. It's all you know.
I know finances can be stressful too in a divorce, especially for women, especially if they don't work. I'm fortunate that I do have a job that I love, and so that isn't a huge stressor for me. I mean, yes, it was nice to have 2 incomes, and the financial part isn't terrible. I'm proud of myself for being able to do it, but my mom taught me to be that way anyways. So I always knew, like, I'll just figure it out. That's why I'm just gonna figure it out, right? I might put it off, right, as long as I possibly
eventually
can, but I will figure it out. I think another surprising thing about the divorce too that I also wasn't expecting is just the amount of people that have reached out to me when they found out about it and shared their stories about what they're struggling with in their marriages.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of parallels there, being the breadwinner, doing all the things, especially for women. To hear from some of my friends and hear kind of what they're struggling with and how it's the same thing. Like, yes, that's me, right? I was struggling with that too.
Yeah.
And so I just say, look, you have to decide what you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Whether, and it was the same thing my therapist said, you either have to find happiness somewhere in your life outside of your marriage and, friends, activities, hobbies, things like that. Or you're going to have to make a change. And so kind of sharing that with them and letting them know too, like, I'm here if you want to talk about it. Because sometimes you just need someone to talk to about it. And so that was I wasn't expecting that. And it's not just women too. There's some men.
Oh, it's on both sides.
Some friends that have reached out and said, I know you're going through this. Can I just kind of share where I am? And, it's like, well, you have to decide, right? Are you okay living like this? Or do you want to stick it out, or do you not? And some people want to stay because at least, even if it's shitty, at least I know what to expect. Right? At least I know what the shit is. If I'm in it, this is my shit. This is my shit. I know how terrible it is, but at least I know what it is. Whereas if I make a big decision like that, and I do this thing, then I don't know what's around the corner. Like, I don't know how it's going to pan out. So it's the fear of the unknown, the change. Like, people, as humans, we don't like change. We like to, this is working, even when it's not working. At least I know what to expect. And so it's hard to change. You have to face that fear, and you have to say, all right, this is not okay for me anymore, and I'm going to do something about it. Or, it's not okay, but I'll stick around, but this is what I'm going to do differently.
How has that unknown been for you?
I have this hope inside me that I hadn't had in a really long time. Like my chest, I can feel it in my chest. Of like possibilities and opportunity.
What does this look like? What do you want to do?
So these days, I've always just met people through people. Any of my serious relationships were always just like, I met you at work or through a friend or something like that. So I would meet these people in real life, whereas, I decided I was going to get on a couple of apps and just see what's out there, right? May as well just see what's out there. I'm not ready for anything yet, but we'll see, and these guys are very bold.
Yes.
And inappropriate.
My mother has been on some apps after my stepdad passed away, and some of the things that she shared with us that have been said to her just blow my mind. And I'm sure you've gotten it equally as terrible.
Yeah. They
don't care. They're just like,
and they're not scared to send you pictures.
No.
Of things. And then some of them they want to meet you. They want to hook up. I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. So then it's like a learning curve, right? I'm like, oh, I just put my profile up about me, and then then I'm like, oh, well, I should probably put in my profile, I'm not here to hook up, so don't try. All right, fix that.
Yeah.
And but I've gone on dates with 2 guys. One was like a coffee date. He was good looking guy, successful, blah, blah, but and he's nice. He wants to move things along, but I went on a date with another guy. But he and I liked him better because we would actually have conversations, like real conversations, and over the phone, not just texting, right?
Right.
That's another thing. These people, they just want to text
True.
all the time.
True.
They don't want to actually like speak.
Yes.
But yeah, this one guy just having conversations, talking about, TV shows. What TV shows do you like? Why do you like it? What about the music? Why do you like this? We we share some music, and then like talking about childhood, like stuff like that. And I was like, you're different than anyone else I've been talking to on these things. And he's like, yeah. It's like, well, what did he say? Something along the lines of, if you really want to get to know a woman for real, you have to tickle her mind. That's what he said. Tickle her mind.
Tickle that mind. I'm actually surprised that hasn't been in any of my study books.
So I ended up going on more dates with that guy.
Are there any, and you've been to therapy, you're still in therapy, is there any other coping things, tools, best practices?
So the therapy for sure, the walking for sure. And because I was doing it before and I keep doing it, it really, I know I talked about it earlier, but it grounds me.
It does.
It gives me the space and the time I need to just think through things. But just find something that you enjoy. To find something you enjoy and do it. And be around friends.
Yeah.
Through this process, I've made some new friends, some good new friends just in my neighborhood, and they've been such a blessing. The rock painting helps me, right? Because music has always just been something in my life, like it just feeds my soul. Music does, right? So I listen to a lot of music. Like all the time, all day long.
What's the best thing out of co-parenting?
Getting a break.
Yeah. To have your own time.
I have my own time.
Yeah.
When could I ever have my own time before without feeling guilty for it? Having my own time is really nice. Does it get lonely? Sure.
What's the hardest thing about co-parenting?
Hardest thing about co-parenting is trusting. Trusting the ex. That what you agree to is really what's happening in the home. Because, one of my things was like controlling the scenario, the situations, the environment. And so I had to be okay, like setting up and saying, okay, to my son, that this is not okay. I'm just saying YouTube. Yeah. Because it's my example throughout the thing. But that YouTube is not okay to watch, which means when you're at dad's, it's not okay to watch there either.
Yeah.
So you can't ask. So I have to trust.
Yeah.
And knowing the history and, what my ex wasn't able to do in the past, having to try to work through that through my son.
Yeah.
And is that fair? But I will say that the co-parenting, we really do try to, we support each other, right? If he has to work late and I need to pick up my, he'll say, hey, this meeting's running over. Can you go pick him up? Yes, of course. I'll go get him. Right? And vice versa. Yeah. So we are working together to make sure that he's taken care of and we're helping each other out. And I think it's important for our son to see that. Because there are, like I mentioned before, there's relationships where the parents are just going at each other all the time. Yeah. They can't stand each other and it's palpable and the kids know it. They can feel it. And like I said earlier too, it's it's already going to be terrible, but how can we make it less terrible?
Right. It sounds like you did a lot of front loading for your son, what about after? Is there any coping mechanisms? I know he plays soccer. Yeah. Have you thought about therapy or anything?
So my ex and I have spoken about therapy for him. And I did talk to some therapists ahead of time, knowing it was coming. Here's the age, as a boy, here's his age. What do you see? Is he going to need therapy? How much therapy? How often? What does that look like? And, she basically, every child is different. Yeah. Every environment is different. And it really depends on the kid. And so, I'm okay with getting him therapy if he needs it, right? I'm okay with doing that. He seems to be doing okay. Like his grades were okay, and it was the end of the year. His grades are okay. He's interested in the same things he's been interested in. He hasn't lost interest in anything. We haven't had any like huge behavior issues.
Yeah. Would you say the mental load's easier because there's one less person to like navigate around?
It's just different. I don't have to worry about him, but he still puts things on me sometimes, and I have to push him away, right? I have to push him back, right? He wants to do things together, and I have to say no, and his feelings get hurt, and I'm like, I can't be that person for. I'm not that person for you anymore, and so he has to like realize that.
Well, it sounds like you tried for so long that he's trying to find that window.
That's hard to come to terms with and walk away from. And one thing I told my therapist, so some of my friends that were divorced before gave me advice, right? Because I want the advice. I'm like, I know you've been through a divorce. Can you tell me about, if you're comfortable sharing, can you share this? And so from a few people, I heard that you're gonna grieve your marriage. Like there's gonna be a period of grief where you're sad. You're sad and you're grieving, and it's okay. Like you have to work through those feelings, and it's gonna be okay. So I was talking to my therapist, and I'm like, I don't have those feelings.
You already grieved it.
Is there something wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why am I not like crying at the demise of my 15-year marriage? You know what I mean? Like, why is that the case here? And it's just what you just said. Like, you already grieved it. Yeah, Sarah, you already grieved it. You've known for a while now, and you already went through that process.
Well, that's how you handled the divorce.
Yeah.
But like you set everything in motion perfectly, and then you're like, okay, son, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And,
No, I know. And my girlfriends, they're like, you are like the ideal like ex-wife divorce situation.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I set everything up. Right.
Yeah.
I helped him find a place. I helped him get the furniture. Helped him schedule the move. Like all the things. Yeah. And worked with him on a visitation schedule that we were both comfortable with. I did all that because I wanted to just make it easier for everybody.
Is it easy for you?
It's easier for me to not be married anymore. But the grief wasn't there after the divorce because I think it was so.
You already
did it all, and so he's going through the grief period, like and I feel for him. I do, because I know it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like recovery. It's just one day at a time. Like you just take it one day at a time. Like you just have to get through the day. And then it gets a little easier.
This was incredibly special for you to be here today.
Yeah.
And how open and candid you were. And you just really put your heart out there today. And I just really appreciate that. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about today that you didn't get a chance to say?
One thing I do want to say is that I feel like a lot of women are in this boat of feeling like they're doing everything in their marriage and running around like chickens with their heads cut off and not having the support of their spouse. And it's the people I've spoken to, they're successful people, like all across the board, and I just want to say it's okay that it's not what you wanted it to be. You're not alone, right? There's people out there in this same, very similar situation that are going through these emotions and living this in this marriage where you feel unfulfilled, you feel unheard, you feel empty, and it's such a sad place to be. I was there for a long time, and the only one that's going to be able to change the situation is you, right? You just have to decide, am I okay with this? And do something. Just decide. Make a decision.
You don't know until you're going through it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the pieces that really, stuck with me if you're in a situation, like, go out and walk.
Yeah.
Be with yourself.
Yes.
To be able to think about it. Like, that's just so strong and so little thing you can do. Yeah. And it's such a big point to jump off of. And if you're struggling, I say go for a walk.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Be with your own thoughts too, because I didn't listen to my thoughts for a long time. Like I would
go.
Yeah, I was just listen to this music, listen to this podcast, watch this TV show, think about this presentation, like go. And so I filled up every second with even an Instagram scroll, you know.
So you didn't have to be alone with your thoughts.
Right. And to actually be alone with them is, I mean, it's fucking rough.
Yes, you come to a lot of realizations there.
Why do I talk so much to myself?
Yeah.
But I realize that I have been stuffing down the bad, the negative, the ugly, like, and I shunned that for so long that, like, I didn't even really know who I was because I was trying to twist into a pretzel for the environment around
You're
me.
trying to fit into this space.
Thank you again for everything that you've opened up and shared with us, because I think it's important, and that's the whole concept of this podcast, is we want people to know that they're not alone in the things they're going through. And I think what you shared, like, I mean, there's still some insights that I never thought about being on the kids side of things, you know, and I think it's important for people to hear what others are going through, so that they know that maybe that'll help give them that boost of, you know, strength and courage to make that step that's so scary.
Yeah.
But I would now like to know, since you've been through our episode, what is your high and low in Buffalo?
So my high for the show?
Yeah.
Well, I think is just being invited to in the first place. The low.
Not having tissues.
Yes. Don't get tissue box up in her. And then I would say the Buffalo, like, I guess the most surprising thing was some of the questions that were asked were very thoughtful, and I wasn't expecting, because some of them I hadn't even thought of. Yeah. It's very therapeutic, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like just talking through it in this setting.
Yeah.
Is very very therapeutic, and it's kind of empowering.
I want to cry.
I wish I had my tissues.
Thank you for listening to Use Your Fear podcast. Rate us.
You can watch full episodes on YouTube, listen on all major podcast platforms, and support us on Patreon for additional cutting room floor footage. Follow us on all social media and visit our website at useyourfear.com to connect. Or if you've got a fear story to share, we'd love to hear from you. Please share and support so we can continue to have these meaningful conversations so others know they aren't alone.
Have a great day. Have a great day. Bye. Bye.